Cheers. Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my April wrap-up. I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of April. Now, I did participate in Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which took place on April 24th. My husband did purchase me a hotel room for 2 nights so that way I could read in peace. He is an angel. Not always. He's like 60% devil, 40% angel. And the angel came out this time around. So I was very happy to be able to have some free time to myself. And when you say, Missy, that's kind of mean if you think your husband's 60% angel or 60% devil. Well, he is. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. And my husband is quite obnoxious. I mean, you have to think, I've been with him since I was 16. We started dating at 15. I feel like I grew up with him. I mean, I did. I grew up with him. He's been a part of my life more than I've been alive. You know what I mean? Like, we're making 24 years this year. In July, it'll be 24 years together, and that's half my life. I'm 40, so that's a lot of my life. I've grown up with them. So a long time with someone can be quite obnoxious when you hear them do the same thing over and over again. Like fart while watching TV or snarfing when they're eating. Just, you know, normal, irritating things that happen over years and years of time together. But yeah, he was very sweet and he got me the hotel room. I did start like a vlog for that, but I won't be uploading it or posting it because I brought all of my equipment with me to the hotel. I'm sure the people that was working behind the counter thought I was crazy. And then when I got in the room and I set up, I didn't have my memory card. And I didn't want to spoil the illusion of me being free for 48 hours with a husband or children if I had called my husband and said, hey, can you bring me my memory card? So I just bowed out. I did post a little bit on Instagram stories, and I do have pictures on Instagram. If you do follow me on Instagram, the links are in the video or on my homepage. You can click on the links. I also have all of that in the description. If you aren't following me on Instagram, you can follow me there and look up Insta stories and the pictures from the 24-hour readathon. So with that being said, I have all of my books just in size order, and I'm just going to start with the top and work my way down. I have 50 minutes before my memory card is full. One of these days I'll get a bigger one than 32 gigabytes. I mean, I don't want to talk about computers. I'm not savvy. I'm not savvy enough. All right, the first one I want to talk about is Zombie Haiku. I fell in love with this book. I've never heard of this. It is not something that you could probably find in a library. I don't even know if it has an ebook version of this, but I was walking in Book Off a week before the readathon. I came across this cover and I was like, yes, please. If I'm not a poetry fan, I have a lot of old poetry from, like, you know, the 18th century. And those are all good because it's got that rhyming, you know, AABB or ABAB. I like that kind of writing scheme. But you don't see that often enough now. It's usually modern poetry, which is like a stream of consciousness. They're just throwing up whatever they want and saying it's a poem, and I hate that. I hate modern lots of things. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is I really, really like haikus because they're bite-sized poems that kind of, they don't rhyme, but you get the gist of what's happening. And I thought this was so fun because when I picked it up, I was like, okay, it's going to be, you know, this kind of niche thing, and it's just going to be a bunch of zombie-esque haikus, and it's not going to make any sense, but I'll just read it. It'll fill up a book spot in my 24-hour readathon. I've talked about this several times already on this channel, but I'm just going to read you like 3 more haikus. Hopefully I didn't read it already in a previous video. The first one, it says, "My cell phone's no use. Every number is busy," which never happens. All right. Let's see. "My day starts off bad. I'm running behind for work. If I'm late, I'm dead." Last one. "We both lunge faster as a distant barking dog is told, 'Be quiet.'" All right. So those are 3 haikus from this book. What I liked about this book and why I gave this book a 5-star, and it was my favorite read of the readathon, is because not only is it in haiku form, but it's a full story. You get a beginning, a middle, and an end. You follow this man from when he wakes up in the morning and he's getting ready for work to when he gets bitten by a zombie, and the end, what happens when everyone's a zombie. What do you eat then? You're all hungry. I really liked that there was a progression, like you got to see it through small increments at a time. I just really liked it. And not only that, but it starts off pretty cute. This is a poetry journal, it says. And we have the original person that wrote it, and then we have the zombie guy that found it and what he's writing. You see, like, there's already some things that were already in here, and he's taken over. There's also pictures within this journal, which I like, and it also, each picture tells you like a different part of the story. So we have dandelions, we have close-up, so the zombies are getting closer, below, trouble, my car. Well, we got crawling. I mean, it's just got a bunch of pictures. It is so fun, and it gets dirtier and dirtier because it's a journal, right? I loved it. I loved it so much. If you can find this, you must pick it up and buy it. It was such a blast to read, and I am so happy to have it in my collection. The next book that I want to talk about is Elevation by Stephen King. This is a tiny little book, which I was very excited about because we all know that my Stephen King reading has slackened of late. I cannot finish a Stephen King book to save my life. I have a ton in the works. Like, I've started every single one with my group, and I've petered out and not finished any of them. So it was nice to finish a story during the month, so I could talk about it with my group on Goodreads. All of these reviews of these books will be down below on Goodreads if you want to check them out, because we all know I go on tangents, I get lots of brain farts, I can't remember people's names right away, and so you'll get the full, nice, lovely written review if you look it up on Goodreads, and you won't have to hear me stumbling over my words in this video. But if you like just to watch me, then keep on watching. So Elevation was my Stephen King pick of April, but also the Buzz Wordathon pick for April. The Buzz Wordathon was universe, like it was like space galaxy terms. It could have been any kind of celestial body. I was thinking elevation for, like, you know, the universe is above you, it's elevated. I was hoping that this was stars, but it's actually a firework, and I really enjoyed this story. I gave it 5 stars. Like I said, it's very short, so it was pleasant to read and finish. That's the main word there. I finished this book. And if you are a constant reader of Stephen King, then you will have read this and go, oh, it's kind of similar to Thinner from Richard Bachman, which is aka Stephen King. So I'm going to put this over here so I can, like, cross my arms, because this is so heavy. It's not. What do I want to say about this book? Okay, so we have a man who lives in Castle Rock. You know, that's the main city that Stephen King writes all of his stories about. And the man is pretty heavy. He's about, I think they said he was 260 in the book, which isn't massive, but he doesn't like how big he is in the tummy area. And so he's been wanting to lose some weight, but not this way. It's been years since he's, you know, been on the scale, and he steps on the scale thinking he's going to be, you know, way bigger than he thought he was, and he's not, and it's very bizarre. And he puts on more clothes, and the scale doesn't move, and so that's perplexing to him. And that's the hook of the story. You have this very heavy looking man, but when he steps on the scale, he is not that weight whatsoever. In Thinner, our main character is losing weight because he's been cursed by a witch. And in this book, we don't know how our main character is losing the weight. It doesn't seem like a curse. He hasn't been in contact with anybody, but he just so happens to have this like disease where he's literally withering away, but he still looks the same on the outside. And so his name is Scott, and his friend is a doctor. His name is Bob, I believe. And he doesn't practice anymore. And so he goes to Bob one day and he goes, Bob, listen, I can't take my, I can't talk to a hospital or a doctor about this. It's too bizarre and weird. They're going to say I'm crazy. They're going to put me in a straitjacket. Just please hear me out and observe what's going on. And the doctor's like, all right, okay, sure. And so Scott steps on a scale at the doctor's house. And before he does that, he goes, try and guess my weight. And since the doctor had been a doctor for, 30 plus years, he's pretty good at guessing people's weights. And so he says, well, I think you're about 260. And Scott says, hold that thought. And then he steps on the scale and he's like 180 or something like that. And the doctor goes, that doesn't make sense. You don't look like you're 180 pounds. And Scott says, that is the problem. Now watch this. He takes off most of his clothes. He's standing in just his underwear, and he steps on the scale again. Now, just for everybody out there, whenever we go to the doctors or even at home, we tend to take off clothes to not add to the weight of the scale. I always take my shoes off when I go to a doctor's office just so they don't count that. I hate that they're counting jeans or my jacket or what have you, but when I'm at home weighing myself, you better believe I'm absolutely naked because I don't want to have any more adage to that scale weight. And the same thing happens with Scott. He goes, watch this. He takes off all of his clothes and the scale doesn't move. He's not any less and he's not any more. He's still 180, and the doctor's like, that doesn't make any sense. You've taken stuff off. And he goes, you want to know what else doesn't make sense? My pockets are filled with quarters. You know how heavy quarters are. So the doctor is mind blown. He's like, what is going on? Scott goes, I don't know. He goes, how long has this been happening? Scott goes, I don't know. But the doctor's like, okay, well, we're going to now observe you. Like, I won't tell my friends. You won't go to the hospital, but we're going to continue to monitor this and see what happens. And that is the story of Elevation. I loved the synopsis, like the scenario of looking bigger but being less weight, which is kind of the opposite. When I tell people how much I weigh, they're like, well, you don't look like you're that weight, but I am, and I hate it. I want to lose it. Oh my God. I feel like I've gained 10 pounds during COVID. I think everybody has said that. I know that nothing that I wear is how it used to be before COVID. I'm like very tight in all of my pants and stuff, and I hate it. But pick up this book. It was a lot of fun to read. I cried at the end because I'm a sap. he becomes friends with his neighbors, which is a problem at the beginning because one of the neighbors is stuck up and she doesn't want to deal with him, and then she comes to like really appreciate him and they become friends, and it's such a cute, lovely story, and I really enjoyed it, and that was such a long explanation for such a short book. Pick it up. All right, next I finished Charlotte's Web for the umpteenth time. I know I talked about this back last year. I read it, I think, in October or November for a specific class that I was in, and then I got moved to another class and we started the book again. So I got to read it for a second time this year to my third graders, and I'm happy that the main teacher, Mrs. Floating, was reading the ending, because whenever Charlotte dies, I always cry, and I get really choked up as I'm reading out loud, and I didn't want to have to do that in front of, 25 kids, because then be like, Miss Melissa, are you okay? I'm like, yes, it's just really sad, I hate it. I love this story. So I did finish that one. And then on to all of the books that I completed during the 24-hour readathon, besides the zombie haiku. The next book is The Cormorant. Now, I started this before the readathon. I think I started at the beginning of the month. Unless I rolled this over from March, which is a possibility. This is by Stephen Gregory. It takes place in North Wales, and it's a very slow, gothic, supernatural book. The supernatural doesn't really happen till the very end. So at the beginning, you're just thinking that this is like just a little like spooky tale of this black seabird, the cormorant, who's named Archie, by the way, in this story. So we have a small family. It's a husband, a wife, and their 2-year-old son. They all live in the city, and then the husband's great uncle passes away and leaves them his cottage in the country along with this sea crow, or this cormorant. And the only way they can get the cottage is if they take care of the bird. And the people that, deal with wills, I don't know what the guy's name is, he comes in every, few months to check on the health of the bird. So they can't get rid of the bird, they can't kill the bird, they can't let the bird escape. They really have to take care of this bird in order to stay in that cottage. And so the wife is completely against it. She thinks it's ludicrous. She hates the bird. Not only is the bird loud and scary looking, but he craps everywhere and she just can't stand it. The child, the baby, is infatuated with this bird. And the mom freaks out because the bird, it's wild. So it could peck the little kid's fingers off or poke his eye out. And she hates that. And then the husband is just like, this is so fun. This is such a strange pet. I've never owned a bird before. Let's see what kind of shenanigans this bird gets into. So we have like 3 perspectives of this bird. We have the husband who's like tolerant, but at the same time kind of weirded out by the bird. We have the baby who's like, I need this bird in my mouth right now. And then we have the wife who wants nothing to do with the bird. And so the tale then unfolds. We see what happens as a family dynamic with the bird, and how the wife gets more and more accusing of the husband liking the bird more and not caring about the family. And we see how the main character slowly gets more and more attached to this bird, Archie. And at the beginning, he has Archie on a leash, there's a little string tied around his foot. But by the end of the book, Archie is coming when he's called. And so the man is just really enjoying this bird. But there's something dark happening in the background, something supernatural again that we don't find out about until the end. Now, with all that being said, this is kind of, very small kind of, like the book Hex by Thomas, Huvelt. He's Swedish or Norwegian, I can't remember, but he wrote Hex, and it's a witch book, and this is not about witches, but if you read Hex and you remember the ending of what happened to the man, the husband, the father in the story, there's something that happens to him at the very end where he kind of like, there's a duality, like he was one kind of person, then he changes into another kind of person. If you've read the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. This kind of happens at the end of this book, where we have the husband and something shifts with him at the end. I'm not going to say what, obviously, but there is a slight shifting, and you're thinking, did that really happen? Am I imagining it? What's going on? I really enjoyed this book as a whole. I'm giving it 4 stars. Like I said, it was pretty slow at the beginning. The wife got on my nerves, but I really enjoyed the story between the husband and the bird. I liked the little friendship that was taking place between the two. So definitely pick that up. That cover's gorgeous. I love that cover. Next, I finished and completed Frank Miller's Sin City Volume 1, which is The Hard Goodbye. If you watched Sin City, the movie, this is Marv's story. So you get that little bit at the beginning of the movie. Actually, no, I haven't seen it in a really long time. But I don't think that the story is set up in sections. I think you hear a story and then you hear somebody else's story, but it kind of weaves in and out throughout the entire movie, I believe. But this is about Marv, who's this like ugly, beat up, he's got scars everywhere, he's a bad guy. And nobody likes him, nobody messes with him. I don't know what he does. He's a criminal of some sort. And there is this girl named Goldie, who I believe is a high-paying prostitute. I'm not sure if she is told to be with him that night, or if she just was seduced by his manly nature. I'm not sure. I can't remember what happens in the movie and in the story itself, but all I know is that Marv keeps saying, I can't believe you're with me. Why are you with me? You're such an angel for being with me. But they both fall asleep that night, and when Marv wakes up, he sees that Goldie is now murdered and dead next to him. So he has been framed for her murder. And he's really upset because someone snuck in and he didn't hear this. Someone killed her while he was sleeping. He was very vulnerable. They didn't kill him. So now he's like all about revenge. Not only for Goldie because she was an angel to be with him that one night, but also because his pride is hurt, you know? Like, how dare you come in, you kill someone right next to me, and I didn't hear anything? Ugh. So the whole book is about him trying to get revenge on the murderer of Goldie. And if you have seen the movie, the book is exactly like the movie. I don't like the illustrations. I think they're harsh. They're not pretty and colorful. I don't mind black and white, but it's like mostly just really like thick silhouettes is basically what the book is. But I did enjoy it, and I did read this for the readathon, Dewey's readathon, but it was also for a yearathon readathon, which was read a book that has an adaptation to it, and that's why I chose that one. Also because, you know, graphic novels are very easy to read during a readathon. It's always good to have that one book and then a bunch of graphic novels so you can feel accomplished. All right, the next book that I read during the readathon and for my buddy read with Ashley is We Should Have Left Well Enough Alone. This is by Ronald Mulvey. I've never read him before. Here is his picture. Look at that cute little smile there. I've never read him before, but I actually really enjoyed his writing. He's got a way with words. It's very poetic. It's just such pretty writing in such like dark stories. And there was 20 short stories in here, and I liked like 15, 16 of them. I didn't not like most of them, which is a good thing. So I'm giving this 4 stars because typically with short story collections, you get like a couple that you really liked and the rest are kind of garbage. Not garbage, but some are mediocre, some are bad. With this one, I found a lot of them very enjoyable to read and only a few that was mediocre and only like 2 that were bad. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. I'm being generous. It was very fun to read. I do have this little tab here because I want to share with you guys all the pretty girls. I'm not going to read you the whole story, but I do want to share with you 2 lines in here that I just found so pretty to read, and the imagery is on point. So it says here, ensconced in the scenic hug of a patchy plume. Ensconced in a scenic hug. I like that imagery. I want to be ensconced by a scenic hug. And then on the other page, it says, the front grille with its busted out quad headlamps and deluxe chrome was a mouth crowded with teeth, rusty and sharp for biting. I really like that. This story is about a man who is being led by a killer car. He believes the car is a god, and the car wants young, beautiful women for food. And so the man kills these young women and, well, he rapes them, which is a trigger. And then he puts them in the trunk of the car, and the car, like, digests their essence, their souls. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's in the guy's head or if it's really happening, but this car is like dilapidated. It's been taken over by the forest. It's one of those rusty, deadbeat like cars that have just been parked and abandoned. And this man finds it, or did it lure him into the forest because it's not right off the road. You can't see it from the street. And this man came across it, and he's feeding this car dead bodies, or, you know, he kills the girls in the car and then feeds the car the bodies. But I really enjoyed the writing. It's beautiful. So bravo to Ronald Mulvey. I'm definitely going to pick up more of him in the future. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, that was the buddy read for Ashley. And the last book I want to talk about in this wrap-up is Nevermore, another book that I came across at Book Off when I went the week before the Dewey's Readathon. And this is a graphic adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's short stories. So even though you guys haven't seen my March wrap-up yet, or it should be up before you see this video, I read a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe short stories and retellings in March, and then I continued those same stories in April. So we have the list here of all of the stories that are in the book. All of these I read within the Hideous Heart short story collection that I did in March. The only new story that I hadn't read before is The Facts in the Case of Mr. Vladimir. And this one I have not read the original, so I'm not sure how it is based, like how close to the original, that's what I'm trying to say, close to the original this story is. But I really, really enjoyed all of the retellings. Again, this is a graphic novel, so you get to learn about the Raven in a modern take on it, and all of the other stories. Again, I enjoyed all of them. I really enjoyed his Hideous Heart in those retellings as well. If you guys know any retellings of Edgar Allan Poe stories, Pride and Prejudice or Alice in Wonderland, leave those down below, because those are the 3 books that are my absolute favorite classics that I will read any retelling from, like any of them, even if I don't like it. Like the Chronicles, the Rabbit Chronicles, something from Gina Showalter. I started that series and I didn't like it. I think I only read the first 2 books, but I think there's 4 in that YA series. But I did start it. That's what counts. I started it and I didn't enjoy it, and so what What am I trying to say? Just leave me down below any retellings that you know that I might not know about. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, that is my wrap up. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Again, I have all of my written reviews in the description bar. Click on those links and you will be taken to the actual written review on Goodreads if you thought I was fumbling all over the place, especially since this is my third take on this video. So hopefully it came out better than the last two. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.